Okay, so I have a clean face, and I always start with my skin prep first because skin prep is going to be one of the most important steps that you can do in order to ensure that your foundation goes on smoother, that it really holds the longevity to your skin. Because if your skin is prepped correctly, then everything will lay on top better and just look a lot better. So the first product I start off with is my Glow Recipe PHA and BHA Pore-TightToner. I know I've mentioned this in a couple videos, but this just does something magical to my skin. It leaves it like a little bit sticky, and I think the pore refining aspect, I don't know if it's instant. I know definitely long term, of course, but I don't know. This does something that when I pair it up with the other product I'm going to talk about, this just does something magical to my skin. So I start off by applying this. Now, I usually just apply it with my hands, which I have no idea if this is correct, but this is just what I do, and it works for me. So, like, Glow Recipe, please don't, like, cancel me. Big fan. I start by massaging this into the skin and then I pat. Now, this isn't necessarily, like, a step you have to do, but I just love how, like, refreshed you can feel after this. Some other, like, products that I can compare this to is, like, the Fresh Rose Water Deep Hydration Toner. This is just like a mini one that I have, but this one works really well too. And yeah, I just put this like everywhere on the skin. So the next product I go in with is my Glow Recipe Niacinamide Dewdrops. Now this creates like this nice glowy. I do 2 pumps. This creates like a very dewy, like reflective, like I see like the shine on my forehead. But this also like really hydrates the skin. It also makes the skin very like sticky. So it really like preps the skin for what I'm gonna put on top of that. The last product that I use in my skin prep is my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Now this, if you don't have this, you need this. This is just thick. It's a priming moisturizer. It's amazing. I always take this with a beauty blender, and a clean beauty blender, may I add. I dunk on in there, and then I really like to press this in the areas where I have more pores because it is a priming moisturizer. It's not like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's like super pore blurring, but it definitely like smooths the skin. It really like hydrates the skin so your foundation lays really well on top of it. It's really amazing. And then once I work that into the skin, I'm going to use the actual last product in my routine, which is the Laura Mercier Illuminating Eye Cream. I've been loving the Clinique Smart Clinical Repair Eye Cream. This one's been really good. I also love using like the Tula little sticks. I love using these too under the eye. You just need some kind of eye cream under the eye so your concealer looks a lot better and goes on a lot better. So I usually just take, I don't know, I take like a fair amount of eye cream, I feel like, because I really want my under eye to be hydrated because I'm going to be packing it with like a lot of powder, and I'm really going to like be taking my under eye there. So I really need it to be like prepped and ready for the chaos I'm about to put it through. So I really like to work that into the under eye. I really don't put it on top of the eye, which you can, but once I put like my eye base and stuff on, I really don't want it to like slip and slide, and I don't want it to like crease my eyeshadow. So I usually just keep it like on the bottom, because on the bottom I know with the prep that I'm gonna do, or the work that I'm gonna do, or the products that I'm gonna use, that it will not crease or crease as much, because it's always gonna crease, but you know what I mean. And that is it for skin prep. Sometimes I'll go in with like a face mist, like a MAC Fix Plus, or I've been loving the Peach and Lily Glass Skin Veil Mist. This has been really good to kind of just throw on top after all my skin prep is on. Or I love the Tula Signature Glow, what is this called? Brightening Mist. This is also really nice to put on top right after I put on all my skincare. I think I'll skip that for now and just move on to the rest of my face. I've tried a lot of foundations. I have a lot of foundations. And I have like this mixture that I feel like is just my holy grail. at the moment. So my holy grail, I've had to adjust my holy grail. How many times am I gonna say holy grail in this video? But I've had to adjust my like perfect foundation combo because one of my tried and true foundations got discontinued because the brand went out of business, which was the Becca Ultimate Coverage Foundation. This is so good. This is like full coverage, depending on how you wear. It's not cakey. This is 24-hour wear. This is so good. And I would mix it in with my foundation that is not discontinued, which is the LA Girl Pro Matte. Now this foundation is matte, but it's not dry. It's long wearing. It's so good. And I pair it up with my Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r foundation. Now, these two are the combo. They are the moment.
And she is the moment.
They are the tea because they both have long wearing aspects to them. They're both matte, but they're not dry. The Fenty one can be a little bit dry by itself, but whatever is in here in the LA Girl does not let it be dry. So what I do is I'll just give these two a good shake, and I'll take 1 pump of the Fenty. This is in the shade 300. And I'll take a pump of the LA Girl, which is in the shade Caramel. Now, those shades are slightly different. So the Fenty is like, the Fenty oxidizes to like my perfect match, and the LA Girl is just a little bit darker. So I like how they mix together. So then I'll just take both of these two, mix those up real well, and I get this color that is like very me, but a little tan, because I mean, why would we want to be a little bit tan? So then I mesh that on the face, and I'll take my Beauty Blender damp and really work that into the skin. Now this combo, now since we did all the skin prep, it just like blends right on top. Like you don't have to work at it. It's like I said, these are not dry matte foundations. These are just beautiful in my opinion. They're so good. I can really see myself mixing the LA Girl with the new Makeup Forever foundation. Now I'm going to be doing a video on this too. Stay tuned on that, but I can see those really working well together. So like I said, this is just like my routine for when I know I need my makeup to look flawless, last, be photo ready. This is everything I do. I do this a lot in my videos. I'll do a lot of the skin prep like off camera because it's kind of just, I mean, it's a little repetitive sometimes. But more than anything, it just makes the video a lot longer, and you know, so I do a lot of it off camera, but I always list it down below in the description box. Always check out my description box, guys, because I have everything listed, not linked, but listed down below. And then we're left with this beautiful, it already looks smooth, it already looks airbrushed, because I feel like all the skin prep we did, it just does the work for you. So then you don't have to work as hard. And then you are left with a pretty decent amount of foundation. So you could always, you know, take this on the neck, or if you're that girl, just put it on the body. But I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of this action. I'm so ready for summer, y'all. I'm waiting. My body is ready. I hate winter. Anyway, when I need a concealer to last, I always go in between a couple. I have so many concealers. I'm going to be doing kind of like a breakdown of what I have like on my filming area because it's a lot. I have a lot around me. But the two that I love to go in between is the MAC. This is the Studio Fix 24-Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. I have this in the shade NC35. And of course, Shape Tape. Now, Shape Tape is so good. I know, I said this in my other video. It's like cool to like hate Shape Tape. I love Shape Tape. I think it works really well. I love a bunch of other concealers, like my Rare Beauty concealer. The Anastasia concealer is really good. There's a bunch of concealers that I love. But these two concealers will get you through your day. They're both matte. Again, matte is just going to be very long wearing usually. They're matte, they're full coverage. They're both kind of like paint, honestly, and which is why I think they work really well. The MAC one is a little bit thinner than Shape Tape is, but I still love using both of them. And I think just for the sake of the video, I'll just use both because I feel like Shape Tape is a good color for me, and then the MAC concealer is a little bit lighter, so they should balance each other out. So I'm gonna put Shape Tape kind of in the places where you see everybody put concealer. Now, isn't it crazy that like we were drawing, you know, and I still kind of do this sometimes. I almost shoved this into the MAC one, but we were drawing straight up triangles under the eye and wasting this $29 concealer in like no time, which is just crazy to think about. But actually, why does that look like the same color? That looks like the exact same color. Okay, well, maybe I'm just using the exact same color of concealer. At least you know I'm consistent. You know what I'm looking for in a concealer. Actually, I feel like the MAC one is just like a teensy bit lighter, which is whatever. The key at this moment is I do this when I work on clients. I do this when on myself. But the key right now is when your concealer is setting, you let it dry for a bit, but you go on top of it with like a long wearing setting spray. And I love the Smashbox setting spray or good old Urban Decay All Nighter. This is just a tried and true for me. You can use the Charlotte Tilbury one, even a really good one is the Professional. I love this one too. But I think just for today, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of All Nighter. And then let's do a little bit of the Smashbox, shall we? Another little thing you could do is take your setting spray and like re-dampen your beauty sponge and go in. So I always start with the face first. So I'll blend out, you know, the face first, obviously, right? Looking nice and bright. And then we take the point and we're going to blend out this under eye. And then we're just going to, since I got concealer on top of my lid, I think I'm just going to bring that on top of the lid as well. And I've been doing this a lot lately. I kind of just been bringing my concealer up to the lid, even though I usually try to keep it pretty bare. So when I put like my eye primer on, it won't be too heavy. But I've been kind of in this mood where I'm back on that like, you don't need eye primer kick, but like you do. You like truly do. But I'm on that like kick where you're like, don't need it. Like just use your concealer. Like blah, 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 you know? I go through these phases with makeup where I'm just like, you need all the things. And then I go through these other phases where I'm like use nothing. Like do whatever you want. Alrighty, so we're nice and blended. We're nice and bright under the eye. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a pressed powder of your choice. I have been loving the CoverGirl Clean Fresh. I know you have seen this on my channel. My recent love, though, has been this Clinique, this Invisible Matte pressed powder. So this is just a like matte pressed powder with no color. But what I have been doing is I have been taking this sponge. This is the microfiber sponge from my Victoria Lim video. I'll link that down below. But I have been taking this sponge, running it into the powder, and then setting. This is like my initial set. So I set my under eye with this or the CoverGirl powder first. And then, oh, doesn't it just look like so blurred under the eye? Now, the sponge definitely like helps. There's a mirror in here. I don't know why I'm taking like my other mirror. But I take this and I press. You want to really press this under the eye and really work it into the outer edges. Right here on the cheek where all your pores are. You want to press it in right there as well. And kind of like on the sides of your nose. You really want to like work this powder into the face. And then I'll take this like on the nose. So what I'm doing is I'm swirling and then patting it on the back of my hand just to get the excess powder off. And then patting everywhere I set that concealer. And then after I do that, I'm going to grab, now I know you're going to like roll your eyes at this next part, but I'm gonna take my Laura Mercier translucent powder and my Fenty Beauty banana powder. Now, you're asking yourself, Izzy, why are you using two powders? Let me tell you. I'm going to use my Fenty Beauty banana powder under my eye so I can further brighten and further set the under eye. And then my under eye is not moving. It's going to crease so much less and it's just going to look flawless and airbrushed. Now again, so I'm going to take my sponge, really work that powder in there. And then I'm going to take the cap because there's a lot of powder on here because this grabs a lot. And I'm going to pat that and make sure it's evenly pressed in there. I'm going to press under the eye. And we're going to carry that out. So, as you can see, I'm not just hitting right under my eye. I'm hitting that same area where we took that pressed powder right into the pores on the cheek and out. And then since we tapped off, we can just grab whatever left in here and it's going to be the perfect amount. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. So the thing with this Fenty Beauty powder is you do not want to bake with this powder. It is a very matte powder and this will dry you out. So this is why we do all that skin prep under the eye so you don't look crepey under the eye. So we're going to really work this powder in and we're going to let it set. We're not doing like a necessarily like a bake, but we're just going to let it set under there. I forget how good this powder smells. Every single time I use this powder, I'm like, wow, this smells really good. Then we're going to take the Laura Mercier powder and we're going to take the end of the sponge, or I guess the back of the sponge, and we're going to pick up some product. Again, really work that in. And then the same thing, back of the cap, really press it in. And then we're going to work this all over the face. So anywhere we did not put the Fenty Beauty powder, we're putting the Laura Mercier. Now, the Laura Mercier is of course going to help set the foundation in place, make sure nothing moves, make sure it is airbrushed and tight, and it's just going to like make us look really nice and set. You can do this with any of your loose powders, like I like the Anastasia one, Beauty Bakery, but this is just the one that I use for myself and for like clients. Hit the eye just a little bit, so whatever's like left over, like you don't have to add more product. Whatever's left over on the sponge, just hit the top of the eye and then really press. Now I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is damp too, but since it's like that fiber or like that velvet material, it doesn't really like absorb a lot of product. It doesn't absorb a lot of water, so it doesn't feel damp to the touch, but it is damp. And then just look at that. Don't you just feel airbrushed? Don't you like feel smooth? It's soft, it's airbrushed. It doesn't feel, well, you know, we do have a lot of makeup on, so it does feel a little bit heavy, but nothing like your skin can't handle. Now that we're here and we're airbrushed and we're smooth, I like to take the Hourglass, or you can take your all-nighter or your Smashbox, whatever setting spray you're using, and really douse yourself in this setting spray right now, because we don't want that powdery lip. We want to look very like smooth but not powdery. So you're going to take your spray and you're just going to, again, douse. While that's drying, you're going to take your beauty blender and pat the skin very lightly. And you're going to work that setting spray into the powder. Try not to do too many like facial expressions while you do this. Really try and keep the skin normal. That way you don't prevent any creasing. And you want to pat gently so you don't move any of your base. And then you're ready to go in with your blush and your bronzer, and everything else is just going to lay on top. And here I am, and I have a lot of makeup on. As you can see, this is from a video that will be either up before this or coming soon. So if it's up before this video goes out, then I'll link it down below. And if it's not, then hello from the future. So those are kind of just some tips and tricks in order for you to achieve just like a flawless base. Let's go down the line and put some keynotes. The first step is skin prep. Always make sure your skin is prepped and ready to go. integrate your favorite primer for like a pore blurring action, whatever you want to do. Second, use long wearing products. Now, sometimes they will be matte, but since we did all that skin prep before, your skin should be able to take it. Press powders into the skin. Now, using a damp sponge is always like useful, and the way I always recommend to do it, you can also use a powder puff, whatever you decide to do. And setting spray. Setting spray, no matter what it is, make sure it's a setting spray, like a long wearing setting spray that will elongate your makeup, not a refreshing spray. And that should be your flawless base, and you should be able to achieve long wearing makeup using that. But I will, of course, be adding more tips and tricks later down the line. This is just like the main one that I feel like a lot of people should know, and I think important one to like make a video out of. I will be doing more tips, so let me know. And let me know if you have any questions on anything, or like any like tips that I think should be a video. I'm gonna make this a little bit of a series, so tell me like some of your makeup struggles and see if I can like assess them and help you or give you any information to make your makeup look better. But don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. And don't forget to just have fun with makeup. It's makeup. It's fun at the end of the day. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.